In my opinion, Palantir is the only AI company that actually matters in 2026. If you're still listening to people in suits telling you about the next big chatbot that can write poems or generate fake images, you're missing the entire logic of the current market explosion. Those chatbots are toys. Palantir is a weapon. Before we dive into the data that the mainstream media is too lazy to read, do me a favor. If you are here for a new raw logic and do not to corporate hype, hit that subscribe button right now. We are building a community for people who trust numbers more than teleprompters. Today we are talking about why Palantir is the real brain of our era. I'm not wearing a suit, neither is Alex Karp. Because when you actually have the truth, you don't need the costume. Sure, Nvidia just reported $68.1 billion in revenue. That's a massive number for the hardware side, but for me, that's just the bill for the engine. The real story is how Palantir is taking that infrastructure and turning it into the global operating system for reality. Let's get into it. Most people think AI is just a window where you type a question and get a poem. That's sweet logic. It's surface level and honestly, it's boring. In my opinion, the real AI revolution is invisible. It's what Palantir does with AIP and Gotham. It's not about generating text. It's about generating decisions that save billions of dollars or thousands of lives. Look at Nvidia's networking business. It's now worth $11 billion in a single quarter. Think about that. 11 billions just to connect the chips. Why? Because data needs to move at light speed. Moving data is useless if you don't know what it means. This is the complexity problem. When your data center grows 13 times in 3 years, no human can manage that anymore. Palantir's AIP is the only platform that actually connects a company's entire business logic to the massive data streams. It's the difference between having a library of books you can read and having a brain that has already memorized all of them and knows how to use them to win a war. I'm staying long because I don't see any other company solving the complexity of our reality like Karp is. Now, let's talk about the man behind the machine. Alex Karp, you've probably seen the footage. He doesn't wear a suit, he spends a massive amount of time in the forest. He never keeps his mouth shut to please the media. Some people call it a gimmick. In my opinion, it's a massive competitive advantage. In a world full of corporate robots following the same script, Karp is an outsider by design. While the rest of Silicon Valley was busy building AI to show you better ads or make your emails sound more professional, Karp was focused on global security and data integrity. He understands that for the hardest problems on Earth, like modern warfare or national safety, you don't need PR, you need a true. Personally like this no-suit logic because it's real. When I see a CEO who doesn't hide behind a teleprompter and a $3,000 costume, I need someone who actually believes in their product. Palantir doesn't sell dreams, they sell raw, hard reality. And if you look at Nvidia's latest report, you see why this matters. When the world is investing $78 billion in hardware every quarter, they aren't looking for polite chatbots. They are looking for power. Karp built Palantir to be that power long before it was cool. He prioritized safety and reality over anything else. In 2026, the logic is simple. The suits are following the trend, but the outsiders are building the future. So, let's look at the engine of this brain. While most software companies are struggling to stay profitable, Palantir's Q4 2025 report shows a money printing machine. Their total revenue grew 70% year over year to $1.41 billion. But look at the logic. In the US commercial revenue exploded by 137%. That is not just growth, that's a total takeover of the American market. In my opinion, the most insane chart in this entire 38-page report is the rule of 40. Most companies hope to hit 40. Palantir just reported a rule of 40 score of 127%. Look at page 3. They are literally on a different planet compared to companies like Adobe or Salesforce. This is what happens when you combine massive growth with a 57% adjusted operating margin. And they are not slowing down. For the full year 2026, they are forecasting revenue up to nearly $7.2 billion. They already have $7.2 billion in cash with zero debt. Think about that logic. They have enough cash to buy their way into the industry they want, while the suits are worried about interest rates. Carp is sitting on a mountain of capital waiting to solve the next global crisis. Now, let's look at the actual growth potential. Most people think the AI party is over because Nvidia is already so big. In my opinion, the party hasn't even started for software. Think about that. Nvidia is forecasting $78 billion in revenue for the next quarter. That is nearly $80 billion of hardware being shipped to data centers every single 3 months. But here is the not so logic. You don't buy $80 billion worth of chips just to admire the silicon. You buy them because you need to solve a problem that is too complex for the humans. This creates a massive pent-up demand for a real operating system. Palantir is currently in the perfect spot on the S-curve. Their government business is a foundation. It's stable, it's secure, and it's the gold standard for the US and its allies. But the commercial side, that's the rocket fuel. As companies finish building their Nvidia-powered data centers, they will realize they have no way to actually control the AI they just bought. In my opinion, Palantir is the only company that can walk into a Fortune 500 boardroom and say, "We don't sell dreams, we sell the brain that runs your business." The growth potential here is explosional because software scales in a way that hardware never can. Once the infrastructure is there, the logic takes over, and in 2026, Palantir is the logic. Now, let's be real. Even with the not-so logic, we have to talk about the risks. Palantir is not guaranteed win, and anyone telling you otherwise is just selling your hype. The first major risk is a concentration. Palantir is heavily dependent on government contracts. If the political wind changes or if budgets for global security are cut, the foundation of Palantir's revenue could shake. We also have to talk about the Big Brother factor. Because Palantir runs the most sensitive data on Earth, they are always one headline away from a massive privacy scandal. Then there is an execution risk in the commercial sector. While Nvidia's 13 times growth in data centers proves the demand for hardware is there, Palantir still has to prove they can scale AIP to every single industry. Software is harder to sell than chips because it requires a change in how a company actually thinks. Finally, let's look at the competition. Microsoft and Amazon are not just sitting around. They are building their own corporate robots to capture this $78 billion infrastructure wave. If Palantir's logic becomes too complex for the average CEO, they might settle for a simpler, suit-approved solution. I'm staying long, but I'm keeping my eyes wide open, and I think, guys, you should too. So, here is the bottom line for 2026. Nvidia just sent a $78 billion signal to the world. They are building the muscles of the future, but muscles without a brain are just wasted energy. In my opinion, Palantir is that brain. With a rule of 40, score of 127% and $7.2 billion in cash, they aren't just playing the game. They are owning the infrastructure of logic. While the suits are busy chasing the next hype, we are following the data. I'm staying long on Palantir because software is the final authority. So guys, if you enjoyed this deep dive and you want more raw logic instead of corporate fluff, hit that subscribe button. Let's build the smartest community on YouTube. Tell me in comments, are you holding Palantir for the next decade, or are you still listening to the suits? I read everything. This has been the Benny's Take. Stay logical. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.